welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, powered by Riverwind Casino. My name is Brandon Drum, here with Parker Thune, Spencer Forsythe on the board. Tennessee week playoff elimination game is upon us. Losers go home with their ball and stay home. Well, maybe until bowl season, but yeah, stay home during the off season. It's a big game, Parker. Huge, huge game. And obviously we'll be there in Knoxville to cover it. But let's talk about it, man. You got that. You got obviously. I mean, I bet there was a big weekend. You got the coaching carousel going on. Is there going to be some fallout from LSU? Is it going to help Oklahoma? Is there going to be more fallout from James Franklin and Penn State? There's a lot to talk about here this week.
That there is, Brandon. And before we dig too deep into any of it, first and foremost, want to acknowledge our fine sponsors that make it possible for us to bring this show to you every single Wednesday evening. Our presenting sponsor is Riverwind Casino, which has been the OKC area's premier gaming destination for almost 2 decades now. Nearly 3,000 electronic games, table games, bars and dining options, plus the best live music in the metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Shout out also to Jana King, the greatest team to ever clean, and a proud partner of OU Athletics, delivering spotless results from stadiums to any size business across the country. So check out which of their solutions is best for you or your business by going to janiking.com. That's JANIKING.com. And finally, a word from Brunt. Folks, if you spend a lot of time outdoors, let's be honest, if you're an Oklahoman, there are a lot of folks in this state that spend a lot of time outdoors. You're going to want to get yourself a pair of Brunt's Marin work boots. Founder Eric Girard grew up blue collar and started Brunt Workwear after his friends in the trades kept telling him the big brands had stopped listening and hadn't changed in 100 years. I'm sure you can relate to that perspective as well. They'd sold out to become fashion brands. His buddies encouraged him to start a brand built for them, and that's why all Brunt products are named after the guys he grew up with. Real, hardworking tradesmen. These are no doubt the most comfortable boots I've ever worn. They feel comfortable right out of the box. No long, painful break-in like all those other brands, but they're not just comfortable. They're built to perform. Whether you need waterproof, safety toe, soft toe pull-on, lace up, they've got options. They can handle whatever job site you're walking into. And right now, for a limited time, our listeners are going to get $10 off at Brunt when you use code OU Insider at checkout. Just head to bruntworkwear.com, use the code OU Insider, and you're good to go. And after you order, they'll ask where you heard about Brunt. Do us a favor and tell them the guys from OU Insider sent you. Now, throughout the show, if you have a question for us, send it in super chat form. That's going to get it bumped to the top of the queue, and we guarantee that we will address every single super chat question by the end of the show. We already have one in from Daryl Revels, so let's go ahead and get started there. It does not matter what amount you attach, what contribution you attach. You send us a super chat, we will read your super chat and discuss it. So, Daryl said, if Mateer's struggles continue, does OU give Hawkins a shot, or do we ride with him to the end of the year? Also, Parker, do you still drink Olipop? Yes, I do. There's one in the fridge right now. I might crack it open after we're done here. But on the quarterback situation, it's kind of wild that we're here, Brandon. It's kind of wild that this is an actual question that's being asked, because through 4 weeks, John Mateer was quite literally the Vegas favorite for the Heisman Trophy. And then he has the thumb injury, undergoes the surgery, misses 3 weeks of practice time, and he just hasn't been the same since. He has not looked like the same player over these last 3 games. I finally got the chance to watch back the all 22 from the game Saturday earlier today, and my goodness, John Mateer left more on the table than I even realized. It was rough. It was rough, and if he's not at his best, Oklahoma's offense can't be at its best. And frankly, a large chunk of Oklahoma's offense is simply just, I mean, it's wrapped up in the play of John Mateer. Their offensive identity is wrapped up in the play of John Mateer. And so here's the other thing that you have to weigh, though, when you're talking about making a quarterback change. And look, I don't get the sense we're imminently close to that. John Mateer, he has not played well, but he has not played poorly enough to warrant a serious conversation in that regard. Here's what I will say, though. if you've noticed, there have been two instances in consecutive games now against South Carolina and Ole Miss, excuse me, where John Mateer's helmet has come off and he has had to go to the sideline for one play. Who has come in? Not Michael Hawkins,
Yep,
but
Whit
Whit
Newbauer.
Newbauer. And
Mhm.
Brent Venables said early in the season that they were going to make every effort to preserve Michael Hawkins' red shirt. And so Michael Hawkins has played in two games. He can play in two more games while preserving his red shirt. And so if I guess what I'm saying is it would have to be really, really, really bad for Oklahoma to pull the plug on John Mateer and roll with Michael Hawkins, in part because Mateer earned the benefit of the doubt with his play early in the season. He still deserves the benefit of the doubt, but also if you make a change either against Tennessee or against Alabama and at any point over the course of the next two games, you're committing to yanking Michael Hawkins' red shirt. Now, you can play him against Missouri and against LSU, and he still gets to hang on to that red shirt. But if you decide you're going to make a switch and you're going to pivot at some point during the Tennessee game, at some point during the Alabama game, man, there's going to have to be a serious conversation as well with Michael Hawkins and his folks on the other side of that decision because you do what you have to do to win a football game. No question about it.
Mid-game
If
cell
John,
phone call, text message. Hey,
if John Mateer throws three first quarter interceptions against Tennessee, you got to pull him out of the football game. And you got to put Michael Hawkins in, and you have to do what it takes to try and win in Neyland Stadium. But then on the other side, and of course, you got to figure out what you do for the final three games of the regular season, and you're going to have a very intentional conversation with Hawkins and his folks about what your intentions are and what your plans are down the stretch, and whether there is, and I imagine there would be, but whether there is a degree of consent on the part of Hawkins and his camp to go ahead and blow up the redshirt plans. You hope it doesn't come to that, is what I'm saying here.
yeah, you don't want that to happen. That oof. Um, the worst part is I like yourself did some watching today. And the funny thing is I was exchanging some messages with a sideline reporter that used to be pretty good on the offensive line, and we were talking about the one of the plays, the goal line play. And it's not just the interceptions, it's not just the missed throws, it's the miscues on checking in and out of the right play. Like he's the one that's supposed to know the offense. And I remember I asked him about that goal line, the safety essentially, during post game. And he said there was a cat blitz. Well, if you go back and watch cat blitz, for those that don't know, corner blitz, it for those if you go back and watch it, man, he could have ran 5, 6 yards at least if he would have just kept it. He just gave the ball to Torrey Blaylock, and I look, and you know, was there a hot route over there? Because there was, I believe it was Satania's just over there just chilling by himself on a little curl route, sitting there, a sit route. There was so much on that play that was just bad. But that just is a microcosm of what was bad on Saturday. 4th and 5, you have Burks across the middle, you have Sustainia on a whip route, and he throws double covered Javani Gibson. Satania is probably still running, bro, if he throws that whip route.
Mm-hmm.
Probably still running. Like, and you're winning the ball game. That's the crazy part. You're winning the ball game. There's like a minute. By the time they get the ball back, there's like a minute 15 left. You don't want to say they're winning it, but there's a good chance you're winning the ball game. So like, it's just everything leads up, and I don't understand the deal. So yeah, you've got to figure out something. And if it goes bad on Saturday, do you write it out with Mateer? I don't know that you do at this point. Like because something's not right. Something's not right.
Yeah, I mean, he's not who he was before the surgery. I don't know if that has to do with the thumb or
He
the
disagrees
knee
with you.
or the lack of practice time, but he's not himself. There's no question about it. And by the way, I mean, you mentioned the play on fourth down where he tries to go to Gibson instead of hitting Isaiah Satania. Man, like, I even wrote this earlier in the season. I mean, this is one of those things that you got to know if you're the starting quarterback at the University of Oklahoma. I imagine they've repped it on the practice field a zillion times over, enough so that, I pointed this out earlier in the season in one of my post-game columns is Isaiah Satania running a zig route against man coverage is open every single time.
Yeah,
Like if
he's
you
really
have
good at it.
Isaiah Satania manned up and he runs that little zig route, he is getting separation every time. So if you're in a situation where you have to move the chains like that on 4th and 5, that's got to be, if not the
They did it
absolute,
against Michigan, Parker.
yeah, it's that if that's not the
The
absolute
exact
first
play.
thing you're looking for, then it at the very least has to be something that you have a very, very conspicuous awareness of as you're processing through your progression. Now, the Green Arrow tosses $2 and said Gabe pointed out how much Mateer left on the field. Yes, many have. It was evident. It was evident in the moment. It was even more evident for me upon watching the All 22. Daryl Revels tosses $10 more and said, follow-up question. At this point, can we still say his thumb is causing him issues, or is this just poor decision making on his part? Curious on if he's not as good as we first assumed, or more to it.
It's a fair
Yeah, a lot of it
question.
comes down to bad decision making, and you can't blame that on the thumb. Right. Now, the thumb may be impacting the accuracy. John Mateer is never going to acknowledge it if that is the case. And at every juncture, he has disavowed the notion that his thumb is affecting his accuracy whatsoever. But he hasn't been super accurate. He's missed plenty of throws that were there to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And he's made them. It's not like he's missed every single one, but it's been inconsistent. It's been sporadic. And that said, though, I I guess the most likely culprit in my mind is that 3 weeks that he wasn't taking the first team reps at practice and couldn't take the first team reps, the live reps at practice because of his thumb injury. Whatever the case, man, he's not seeing things. He's not seeing things the way that he needs to see them. And look, playing the quarterback position is hard, especially when everything is unfolding in real time right in front of you. It's easy to slow things down after the fact. Watch the slow motion replays and say, oh, he should have done this or should have done that or should have done this. But some of the stuff he's leaving out there, man, it's easy stuff. Easy stuff. Like stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's within the design and intention of the play. And he's just not seeing it, not doing it.
Yeah, it's been rough. It's just I don't. It, you win. You are undefeated if Mateer just plays average. Average. That's all you needed was average out of him. Texas, Ole Miss, you're 8-0 right now.
Yeah.
I don't think that's even an argument can be made against that. So crazy. Do we have any more super chats?
We're caught up for the moment. My thing going into the Tennessee game is this, Brandon. Establish the run
For sure.
with your backs early in the football game and lean on that as long as you can. Because man, I will say upon rewatch, I was even more impressed with Xavier Robinson, man.
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Robinson, I think that's a guy I want to see a lot more of against Tennessee. Now, all respect to Torrey Blaylock, who's been consistent, but what Xavier Robinson put on tape against Ole Miss has me super, super excited to see what he could do with 15 or 20 carries against
Yeah.
Tennessee as opposed to the 9 that he had against Ole Miss because, man, like he gets downhill. He gets downhill.
He
And
falls forward too every
yeah,
time.
there are certain reps where it feels like maybe he didn't see something here or there that could have gotten him a few extra yards, but it's hard to argue with the end result because ultimately what he's doing, like I said, is getting downhill, gaining yardage, moving the pile when there's a pile to move.
Yeah. No, he falls forward. That is probably his most endearing trait is that if it's a 3 yard play, you're going to get 4 or 5 because he's going to fall forward and get you that extra, you know, 5 or 6 feet out of it that maybe somebody else isn't going to get. And that adds up. You give that guy 20 carries, and I believe, Parker, don't quote me on this, but I believe even against South Carolina, he averaged like 5.5, 6 yards a carry on minimal carries, but almost had 60 yards, right? I believe you'd have to go back and look. I don't know how many carries he got, but I believe he had almost 60 yards rushing. Obviously, last weekend he was just dynamic in the minimal carries. If you were going to put a number on it, 15,
I
20,
mean,
like
think
what
it.
would, because you got to keep the ball away from Heupel.
Yeah, no
That's the
doubt.
key.
No doubt. No doubt. You want to limit possessions in a game like this. Um, because Tennessee's strength is in their offense. They have a very vulnerable defense. And so I think there will be a golden opportunity for Oklahoma this weekend if they're on their P's and Q's to dominate the time of possession battle and speed the game up. That
Hmm.
has to be part of the path to victory for this team. But yeah, I think it obviously kind of depends on game flow and depends on whether Tory Blaylock's feeling it because, if you got a hot hand, you want to ride it. But yeah, I would like to see Xavier Robinson carry the ball 15 times.
I
That's
agree.
fair.
I agree. If for John Mateer, what would be considered a successful game for him on Saturday? Because you got to put it into something that is tangible for people and fans. Because for us to sit here and say, "Well, take care of the ball, find open guys when they're open," you can't do that because that's not really how this is going to work. So tangibly,
You talking like statistically?
yeah, I mean tangibly, what would you equate that to as far as something that would lead to a victory for him
Like,
for
do you
Oklahoma?
mean statistically? Is that
Yeah,
what
because
you're
you
aiming
can't
for?
like tangible isn't like something that they could see because a lot of people don't see the open guy until they go back and rewatch it. They don't see the game from a microcosm. They're more big picture in the moment. So something tangible like stats, I guess. Yeah,
Okay. I mean, I really don't know because again, I think it
he's
depends
only
on game.
averaging 190 since he's come back. Yards passing, by the way.
Yeah, and I think that's fine if that's all he has against Tennessee. I think there's a world where Oklahoma beats Tennessee and John Mateer doesn't crack 200 passing yards. But here's the thing for me. Here's
Hmm.
the statistic that I'm going to be looking at is third down conversion rate.
Mm-hmm.
Can you move the chains on third down? Whatever that looks like. Obviously, the guy that's going to be exerting the most control over those types of situations is John Mateer. And that's really where you saw Ole Miss kind of run away from Oklahoma on Saturday, is they were a lot more efficient on third down. And
Yeah.
so if you're going to sustain drives, if you're going to win the time of possession battle, if you're going to speed the game up, if you're going to keep the volunteers on their heels, responding to the things that you're doing as opposed to setting the pace on their own, then you have got to be steady in converting third downs. You've got to be good in third down situations. You got to be able, whether it's a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, which Oklahoma has at times been iffy at in 2025, or whether it's a, third and medium, 7, 8 yards, make plays in that context. Move the
Mm-hmm.
chains in that context. If you can do that, I don't think John Mateer needs to throw for 250, 300 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns on Saturday to help Oklahoma win at Neyland Stadium. In fact, I think you're almost like if that's the type of game you're playing, if you try to engage the Volunteers in a shootout, it feels like you're playing their game at that point.
So I think it's I think with their defense, it's going to be hard to not get suckered into that shootout mentality. because I think Oklahoma is going to get some chunk plays, whether in the run game or the pass game. Yeah, I know it's Neyland at night. It's going to be loud as hell. But at the end of the day, I really believe that John Mateers, he's got to have 200 plus passing. I don't think you can get out of there with a victory if he doesn't hit that 200 mark. I just don't, because I don't think OU as an offense is patient enough to run the ball for 350 yards. I just don't believe that. So if it's balanced and you say 200, 200, I'm down with that and think you probably get out with the victory. I think that's possible because if you can have 200 now, granted, if those 200 yards come on chunk plays, that sucks. It's great, but it sucks because that means you're giving the ball back to Heupel, which sucks. And your defense is back out there. So you got to be smart with how things are done. And I know you can't control, just like the Xavier Robinson, right? Like he broke the tackle, broke it for 65 yards. You can't control those type of things. You can't control the Isaiah Satania, 72 or whatever yard passing, 73-yard touchdown. You can't control that. However, you can take time off between plays. You can run that play clock down in between. And if you're going to have chunk plays, at least get a couple of minutes off the clock before that happens. Because
Yeah, well, and look,
we've seen Tennessee susceptible to chunk play after chunk
oh
play
yeah,
this year.
well, and look, like if you're scoring at the end of drives, then that's a non-issue, right? Like it doesn't really matter. Like if you score on a drive, I could care less. I think most people could care less how long it takes or how little time it takes. Where you're going to
The
run into trouble.
defense
And honestly,
cares.
this was a big criticism of Oklahoma back in 2022, the inaugural Jeff Lebby year, if you'll recall, is
Mm-hmm.
that they would get into that tempo, they'd get going fast, and then they'd go three and out. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you had a possession that took 30, 45 seconds of game time. And so that's what I'm saying. Like sustain possessions. That's more
Right.
what it's about for me. Like sustain possessions. Oklahoma has had too many three and outs this year. They've had too
Mm-hmm.
many of them.
They have far too many. Hey, I think we got a super chat here by Justin Harris. Appreciate it, Justin. If you guys want us to read your super chat, you got questions, whether it's about the game, whether maybe it's about the athletic department, maybe I don't know, maybe you got a random question or you have recruiting questions, which there's a lot of recruiting information going on right now, whether 26, 27 class, even transfer portal stuff. So if you got questions, super chat us up. We'll try to get to it, or we will get to it, and then we'll try to get to the other ones when we can. But Justin Harris asked, appreciate it, Justin, for the super chat. Is Brent Venables' defense so dominant it wrecks QB's mental game in practice like Jackson Arnold, but the offense was way better than last year's offense? Um, there. Parker, how do we answer this question without sounding like we're putting blame on the head coach here because we're not? He does screw with the quarterbacks a little bit. That has been a known thing. He throws wild blitz packages at him, wild coverages at him in practice, tries to prepare them for the season. That, what you see of Jackson Arnold and what we all saw under Jeff Lebby, the confident Jackson Arnold, and what you see now of Jackson started last year during spring when they were throwing exotic coverages and blitzes at him like crazy. And it screwed with him. And he has forever been not the same guy. And I know everybody hates it for him because he's a good kid. And if he would have been different last year, probably would have been different. But it is what it is. However, with Mateer, I don't think that's the issue. I think he's seen so much. This is year 3 for him. This is year 3 in the same offense for him. He hasn't been going from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator the way Arnold and Hawkins did last year. That's a completely different deal. I just think he's overthinking everything. And I think, honestly, maybe I'm crazy. I think he got so wrapped up. I know publicly he's going to say, I'm not into the Heisman stuff, this and that. I think he was trying so hard to catch up in the games that he missed, Parker, and try to get all these chunk plays and the flash plays that he got himself out of rhythm doing so, and he hasn't been able to get himself back into it. I think that's a plausible thing when you try to overdo things. Now, I know the thumb has a lot to do with accuracy, but I think forcing the issue, trying to do too much.
I think it's two things. I don't know that he trusts himself after the thumb surgery and
Which
the
is
sprained
also very
knee.
fair. Yeah.
I don't know that he trusts himself physically. And I don't know that he trusts his offensive line. Like to
That's
me,
fair.
those are the two things that, if we're trying to diagnose likely causes, those to me are the two most likely explanations. He doesn't trust himself physically. I think you see that watching him play on Saturdays the last few weeks. And I think he doesn't trust his offensive line.
I mean, it's fair. Um, Tripped Up TV. Thank you. Appreciate the super chat. With Brian Kelly, 34-14 overall, 19-10 conference record, 3-0 with the Bulls, and BV 28-19 overall, 14-16 conference, 0-3 in Bulls. How long does a blue blood program wait for change? Fantastic question. I'm just going to be blunt as all get out, and I've said it. I don't want Brent Venables to lose his job. I don't want anybody to ever lose their job. As a matter of fact, I hate talking about it. It makes me it's super uncomfortable, Parker. Like super,
Yeah.
super uncomfortable talking about people that you know that you're friends with losing their jobs. However, for the sake of the state, for the sake of the program, if they somehow lose the next two, which is possible, and then struggle and or go 1-2 versus Missouri, LSU, I don't know. Like those are questions that have to be answered at that point. There's going to have to be a conversation at that point about where the program's at. Now,
Mhm.
if
And
he wins one of the two moving forward at Tennessee, at Alabama, I think that saves him. But you can't lose three. You can't lose. What, he started out 5-0. You can't lose 5 out of the last 7 and think you're okay. Not at Oklahoma.
no, certainly
Not
not.
after 6-7.
No. I'm going to make 2 points here. First, I know everybody wants to reduce it down to wins and losses. And ultimately, if you don't win at a certain point, you're going to be out of a job, right?
Correct.
You have to win, especially at a place like Oklahoma. But it's also about the health and vitality of the program at large and the sustainability of the environment that you've created such that your program can continue pursuing winning
Totally agree with that.
in the long term. And Brent Venables is responsible for the cultural foundation that has been established at Oklahoma and that has contributed to what the winning product that you do see on the field right now. Because Oklahoma's 6-2, nationally
Mm-hmm.
ranked, right? They're not a bad football team.
Yep.
They're a pretty good football team.
They're going to say
They
Parker LSU was 5-3 though,
LSU was 5-3,
but they
and they
also
got
got blown.
smoked
Bam.
by
Yep.
Texas A&M, and that was the breaking point.
Yep.
When you get smoked and look completely non-competitive at home against an SEC opponent that, quite frankly, you've owned for the last decade. That's the type of thing that at a place like LSU, they're going to frown upon, and rightfully so. But when you look at Brent Venables and the representative that he is of the University of Oklahoma and the
Mm-hmm.
football program that he is responsible for selling to recruits, the defense that he has been charged with developing and coordinating here in 2025, and you contrast that with the reality that I won't say by all accounts, but by most accounts, Brian Kelly was not a very good representative of Louisiana State University and in many ways was
You don't say
detrimental.
so, Parker.
In
Sorry.
many ways was detrimental to the football program's ability to acquire and retain talent and ultimately get the most out of those guys on the gridiron on Saturdays, you're not comparing apples to apples here. And secondly, I will say this, just because LSU fired Brian Kelly does not mean Oklahoma should fire Brent Venables, because LSU is now currently on the hook for $50 million plus in dead money. And it is complete chaos right now with regard to the power structure as far as hiring the next head football coach at LSU. And so I I would fight anybody, and I will kick back against anybody that wants to look at what's happening right now at LSU and says, "Yeah, Oklahoma should do that. Oklahoma should do what LSU did." Brian Kelly, he wasn't winning to the extent that their blue blood football program expected. Cut bait at any cost. Make change for the sake of you don't make change for the sake of making change, folks. You don't. And if you're not careful and you don't know what you're doing and you don't have leadership that at the top levels, mind you, I'm talking administrative leadership, not football leadership, but administrative leadership that has an instinct for the genuine good of the program and the ability to make the proper decisions to be able to structure your football program for long-term success. Here's what you risk becoming. Here's who you risk becoming. At that point, you risk becoming Nebraska.
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Post Tom Osborne. Because think about this. Think about this. Think about Nebraska post Tom Osborne. Frank Solich was there for what, 5 seasons? Took Nebraska to a national championship, right? Won a lot there. Did not win enough for those folks. He got fired for it. They took a big old swing, brought Bill Callahan in from the NFL ranks. He was supposed to revive the program. That was a disaster. They bring in Bo Pelini. He wins and wins consistently, but not enough. They part ways with him, hire Mike Riley. That was a disaster. After 3 years, they pull the plug on that experiment, hire Scott Frost, and that was a completely unmitigated disaster of all disasters. And 20 years later, you're no closer to championship contention and, in fact, are much further away from it than you were when they fired Frank Solich for not competing on the championship level that was the standard at Nebraska at the time. And to tie a bow on this point, I will add that you are in the SEC now. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be year-to-year fluctuation in terms of the win-loss tally. There will be fluctuation because Oklahoma is not Saban's Alabama. They are not going to be Saban's Alabama. No one is going to be Saban's Alabama. When you look at Saban's Alabama, that's maybe the most impressive, dynastic piece of football architecture that has been established in the 21st century. I mean, maybe the greatest run in men's collegiate sports over the last 25 years. I mean, I can't think of one that has a stronger case in my mind than what Saban did at Alabama. So unless you're Saban's Alabama, guess what? There will be years where at a school like Oklahoma, yeah, you should win 11 or 12 games and be in the hunt for a national championship. There will also be years where you only win 8 games. It happens to everybody. And you're just going to have to learn to live with and be content with the ebb and flow there, because you're in the most competitive, deepest, most talented league in the country, and the razor's edge between victory and defeat is so much finer than it ever was in the Big 12 days that you quite simply can't count on winning 10, 11 games every single year without fail, sometimes more, the way that you could in the Big 12. Your advantages are gone. The advantages that you owned over schools like Baylor and Kansas State and Iowa State in terms of prestige and tradition and reputation and resources, guess what? Now you're going toe-to-toe with a bunch of SEC programs that, especially in the NIL era, can offer very similar amenities to their student athletes. And so there's going to be a lot of give and take in this league. And there will be years where you exceed expectations. There will be years where you fall short of expectations. But it should not be the expectation that every single year you're going to hit that double-digit win plateau. That's an unrealistic expectation in the SEC. I do not care what program you're at. It's an unrealistic expectation for post-Saban Alabama. You're not going to hit the double-digit win threshold every single year.
Jacob Matthews, real quickly, with his we skipped over it. I
Yes.
apologize, Jacob. Unless something crazy happens, there's no way Ryan Foje goes back to guard, right? I think we have our tackles for the next 3 years. Um, I thought Foje did well.
He's going to start again
Fasusi,
this weekend.
yeah, and Fasusi is struggling, to say the least, right now. They are trying vigorously to get Jacob Sexton back. Um, to at least if Fasusi struggles, you have somebody that you can lean on that you know is going to go out there and do a good job. Um, yeah, it's just he should be back. I think he'll be back for the Bama game. That's my guess. My guess right now. I'm just trying to think of the numbers here because when I asked a question to Venables about Sexton, he brought up the red shirt very openly about the red shirt. So the numbers would say he played game one, a couple plays, game one got hurt. Um, so Bama, Missouri, LSU would allow him to have the 4 and keep his red shirt, right? So that's my gut. That's my gut. So, but we'll see how all that plays out. Um, Mr. I'm just gonna call him Dillygaff, just so I
Yeah,
don't have
Mr.
to.
Dilligaff.
Yep. Uh, Are there any transfers or flips from the schools that fired their head coach that OU is trying for? Yes.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Is there someone you think we have a need to go after? Well, I would say one Jazeer Rogers was a good get. Was a really,
Already on
really good
board.
get. Yep,
How about
and already
that?
on board.
Took 2 weeks.
Yep. Um Oklahoma is looking at transfer right now, tight end. Uh Josh Ford took a visit. He's going to take some other visits though, so this thing's going to play out a little bit longer. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of everybody. Well, you know what? DeAnthony Lafayette, LSU, Oklahoma, very much kicking the tires around there. There is mutual interest there, but Miami is trying to make a run there. Nebraska, Auburn, Florida State. Trying to think of who else is off the top of my head,
Yeah,
but
he's gonna have a lengthy list of suitors.
yeah.
I would say him
So
and Messiah Mickens, the Penn State running
yeah,
back
Masai
commit,
Mickens.
is lining up a visit to Oklahoma. You ought to temper expectations with those two. Um, Obviously, Milan Paris came off the board to Miami last night, the four-star wide receiver commit that Oklahoma had been working on.
Hmm.
Or I'm sorry, Iowa State wide receiver commit that OU had been working to flip. He decommitted right after the Oklahoma visit, but locked in with the Hurricanes. Jaden Petit right now is the name to know. Um,
Yep.
Jaden Petit, four-star wide receiver from Naples, Florida, still technically committed to Wisconsin, but was in town for an unofficial visit over the weekend after OVing with the Sooners in June. Oklahoma is in a really good spot to flip that kid. A really
Missouri's
good spot.
trying to catch up to Oklahoma. They're playing catch up there, but we'll see how all that plays out with
There's a
that one
lot of
as well.
noise that Eli Drinkwitz isn't going to be in Columbia next year. Now,
Very, very true.
whether
Very,
that's
very
true or
true.
not, I don't know, but the noise is out there
Yeah, that's
and
what I'm
has
saying.
been.
It's true. Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
Jeff
just
Spangler,
go ahead. Yep.
$5. When Mateer returns next year, will Hawkins leave? Wouldn't that leave Bo Bentley as QB2? Well, a lot of hypotheticals there, Jeff. You're assuming Mateer returns next year, which at this point, yes, I would say that's likely, but you also have to concede there are four more games, four important games the rest of the way for Oklahoma, in which John Mateer's draft stock could shoot right back up as quickly as it has fallen. So
Correct.
we'll see what that situation looks like at the end of the regular season as we take stock of everything that he did for the Sooners in 2025. But if John Mateer returns, you're going to have to work to re-recruit Michael Hawkins to come back to Oklahoma for year 3 and sit the bench another year. Um, that's going to be a tough pitch to make. I'll say that. And I would say at that point, there's a very strong chance he winds up transferring elsewhere for business reasons, as you can understand. Very few quarterbacks these days, especially quarterbacks that get that taste of starting experience, get the opportunity to put stuff on tape. Very few of those guys are going to sit the bench for 3 years in a row.
He would be revered though. If he stuck it out with that red shirt, he would
Yes.
be utterly revered.
Yes, he would have a lot of street cred with the Oklahoma fans if he
Hmm.
waited all the way until year 4 to finally get his shot as the full-time starter, and he was willing to be that patient. I don't know that that's something you can count on.
No, for
Uh,
sure.
Whether Bo Bentley is QB2 or not, well, depends on if Whit Neubauer is still around, if Jet New is still around, if Oklahoma makes any portal additions elsewhere at the quarterback position. I that
I
wouldn't
have one you can
necessarily
go after.
leave Bo Bentley as QB2, but yeah, I mean, Bo Bentley's going to be on the roster next year.
Shamarian Ficklin.
Come on now. Too soon.
So you say, man, that one that still makes me mad. That one still makes me mad. You had the opportunity and you chose Jet New. You chose Jet New. No offense,
I,
Jet.
I I
I'm not
hope
trying
Jet
to
New turns
take.
out to be a good player
I do too. I
because
hope he does.
if he doesn't, then that decision is going to be second guessed for a long, long time. The way that Ficklin is looking so far at Utah. The Green Arrow 82 says Arbuckle seems unable to understand that OU needs to spread the defense out to run the ball. I think again, when I look back at the tape on the Ole Miss game,
We
I
didn't
think
do it.
Oklahoma's starting to figure out what works in the run game, and I would hope that means that they unlock a little something this weekend in Knoxville and we start to see them run the ball between the tackles with the backs a little bit more effectively than they have. Jody Hartwig tossed us $2 and said, any thoughts on coaching changes after the season? Brandon.
I mean, oh man, I just it's gonna be hard with. Here's the deal, and everybody wants us to say Bill Beatembo or DeMarco Murray, and I just with the way those two have built their rooms up moving forward in the youthfulness of their rooms, I don't know that you do that, Parker. You can't like you just got Cooper Hackett in 27, right? You just got Caden Penny, right? 27. You're starting to load up with pretty good freaking offensive linemen in the 2020, Ryan Foje, Michael Fasusi, those types. You have a very, very solid youthful base on the offensive line that looks to be. There are people that think, I'll, oh my gosh, I think it's Avila. I just went blank. From Utah. Oh my God. 2025. Big guard. He was hurt to start the season.
Afalava.
Afalava. Yeah, man, I went blank. I almost call him Avila, the former center for OU back in the 90s. But yeah, Afalava, there's been talk about him having, you know, starting to pick things up, lose weight, tone out, get better. And there's a lot of people that like what he can bring, power. Eddie Pierre Louis, like you have so much youth, Parker. Like, do you want to risk losing all that talent? Like, Eddie Pierre Louis was a 5-star with rivals. You have Caden Penny and Cooper Hackett, they're 5-stars. You have Michael Susi, 5-star. Foje should have probably been a 5-star. And he was close to it with most everybody. Do you really want to lose all that talent? That's scary. Like, that's a scary
Yeah.
proposition to do right there.
And I mean, look, people have varying opinions. I know there are
They do.
people that have had it with Bill Beadenbow, want to
I
fire
understand it.
Beadenbow. I am one of those people that does not want to fire Bill Beadenbow.
I don't either.
I would like Bill Beadenbow to remain the offensive line coach at the University of Oklahoma because I think he is the best man for the job. Uh, Modern day K man with a $5 contribution and says if BV gets fired, defensive players will jump in the portal to
Yeah, that's
follow
scary
him.
too.
That's true.
Hmm.
Brent Venables, anywhere he goes, he's got players that are very, very loyal to him. We've
There,
seen this and learned this over the year.
yeah, well, I'll just go ahead and say it now. Like, he had such a pact with Clemson There were players, I will never name the name of the players, but it's 4 years down the line. I can say it now, Parker. It's not a big deal. There were players literally that would be in literal tears on the phone with him, begging to follow him to Oklahoma. And because of the pact that they had between the two of not stealing each other's players, that didn't happen. And they were some fairly decent players, but you know, the fact remains is that OU ended up getting some really good players anyways, and that's why their defense is good. So it worked out, but that would happen again. And I don't think if he got fired, he would give two craps about stealing from OU at that point. It was because he chose to leave. There was a respect there. So, anyways, go ahead.
Showtime 409 says, do you see a bounce back for the interior offensive line Saturday? We'll see. I mean, again, I think Oklahoma's going to be able to run the ball on Tennessee. I would hope there's going to be an effort made to establish the run against Tennessee. So
They're
yes,
really
I
good
mean
at sacking the quarterback, though.
yeah,
Tennessee's good at
this
sacking the
game has
quarterback.
bounce back potential, certainly. KW in the 918, $10 contribution. Speaking of leadership, did OU Athletic Department release a statement on why they didn't have enough common sense to tarp the field with a monsoon coming the day before the game, or did they not get held accountable for that? Listen, KW, first off, is it standard practice to tarp football fields, Brandon? Do you know? Because like I know it's standard
They do
practice,
it. They do it. They do it sometimes. But here's the difference. OU has always had some of the best drainage systems
and
ever.
this is where I'm going. Saturday morning when I showed up to the stadium, obviously the rain started to pick up a little bit during pregame warmups and in the first quarter, and obviously you don't have a tarp on the field either way at that point. What you get is what you got. But when I showed up before the rain came down Saturday morning, that field was in pristine condition. There was no like that you would not have known that there were storms moving through the evening before, the day before, whatever it was.
Which means they probably did tarp it, to be honest, and probably removed it before everybody showed up. That's just my guess, so I don't know, have any proof of that, but it's always had a great drainage. That's like something everybody's always talked about Oklahoma having some of the best drainage and not puddling up, not being a slick surface, any of that. It was a heavy miss during the first quarter, and the surface got slick and the ground got tore up because it was already soaked from previous rains. So I guess I don't know. Do we have
Yeah, and
any?
look, you know me, K Dub. I am never afraid to call out any issues that I might see within the OU athletic department. I don't think they screwed anything up there. I don't think they made any mistakes there. The field was in great shape.
Mhm.
Great shape Saturday morning. And then as the moisture started to accumulate, the rain started to come down, things got a little soggy, as they're going to, right? We got a $2 super chat from Garrett Watson. There was no chat, just $2. Thanks, Garrett. Appreciate it.
Did we miss Showtime 409?
Yeah, no, we hit that.
Okay. Sorry. I missed. All right, we're caught up. Is there anything like that you feel Oklahoma can severely take advantage of with Tennessee? Like just they have a better chance of owning this portion of the game.
They'll have chances to hit on shot plays.
Mm-hmm.
I feel comfortable saying that. They'll have chances to hit on shot plays. You have to take advantage of those chances, though. And what does that come back to? The play of John Mateer, the accuracy of John Mateer. I mean, if it sounds overly simple, that's because it is, but John Mateer's got to play well on Saturday. If John Mateer plays well, Oklahoma's going to have a great chance to go on the road and win the football game. If John Mateer does not play well, kiss it goodbye. Especially on the road in a blackout at Neyland Stadium. Forget it.
Yeah, the one thing I'm worried about is I know Tennessee they're really good about sacks and tackles for losses. They are every year. That's kind of their thing, but they do give up the big play, like you said. Foje and Fasusi in that environment. I think what's going to be good is the fact that they played at South Carolina. They played at, the Red River shootout. prior to that. I think that gives you some confidence, some understanding of what the environment's going to be to not let it overwhelm you. And I know everybody looks at it. I think the last time OU traveled to Tennessee, weren't they starting two freshman tackles? I
In
believe they were.
2015?
Drew Samia, I believe, and Orlando Brown were your right and left tackles.
I don't I think Orlando Brown redshirted that year.
No, he was your starting left tackle. He had so many false starts that game. I'm telling you, he started. He was a redshirt freshman that year because he's 2013 or 2014 class. Excuse me, he's 2014 class.
Okay, so he was a redshirt freshman then,
Mm-hmm.
not a true freshman.
Yep. But point is, they had two freshmen starting. They had a Drew Samia from Cali, who eventually slid in to be a guard,
Hmm.
um, and he had Orlando Brown, if I remember correctly. And then Gabe Eichert would know more than anybody, or was it Ty Darlington? That was it. Ty Darlington, I believe, was the starting center that year. Actually,
Yeah,
it
so it
was
looks like
Darlington.
Samia did not start that game against Tennessee. He did play in that game, but he did not start that game at right
Who was
tackle.
the right tackle that game?
I don't know.
Okay. I could have swore he started right tackle because I could have swore they made a big deal about that, but I guess I'm wrong. They were super young on the offensive line that year, much like
Okay,
this year.
there's our super chat from Garrett Watson. Could you potentially see Sam Pittman at OU in some sort of assistant role? Also, would Keontez coming back affect the offense, in your opinion? Would Keontez coming back affect the? I mean, I'll be honest. I think Keontez Lewis, at least right now, is better than Giovanni Gibson. I think he's an upgrade over Giovanni Gibson there. As far as Sam Pittman goes, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, I guess I could see him back at OU, but I don't know what type of like you already have the guy that amounts to an offensive line analyst, if you will, in Kevin Wilson. And so unless Bill Bedenbaugh does get fired, which I don't think is remotely likely, or he just decides I've had enough and you want to bring Sam Pittman in as your offensive line coach, okay, then great. But like offensive line is the only thing Sam Pittman has really ever coached. He was he was Cincinnati's tight ends coach for a year in 1996. But other than that, he's only ever coached offensive line. So,
Yeah, and plus you already have Kevin Wilson. There's too many cooks in the
yes,
kitchen type deals. So, um, I'm trying to look up the starting offense for the 2015 depth chart. Got it. Here we go. Left tackle Orlando Brown, right tackle Josiah St. John. Drew Samia was a right tackle. He did play right tackle. He eventually replaced Josiah St. John in the game, and they did have two freshmen playing in the second half and in the overtimes. So that's what it was. That's what it was because Josiah St. John's didn't have a very good game. They were starting Ty Darlington, Neela Casatati. Remember him?
I
I do.
do.
And your left guard was Jonathan Alvarez, who was a sophomore. So
I did not remember Josiah St. John existed.
I forgot all about it. He didn't play after that game. Drew Samia took the spot and ran with it. He did
Mhm.
not. He did not play after that. So, yeah, um, there you go. So they did have two freshmen. So there's some similarities there, right? Some similarities, a little bit, a little bit. Night game. Are they going to check her out the stadium, or is it? It's blackout, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
That's right.
blackout.
Bummer. That's still cool though. Anyways, all right. I guess that's going to do it, Parker, for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live powered by Riverwind Casino. If you are not subscribed to this YouTube channel, subscribe, please. If you are not subscribed to our Twitter, go over there, give us a follow. If you're not subscribed to our Facebook at OU Insider Official, Instagram at OU Insider Official, Twitter at OU Insider. Obviously, subscribe to all those. Make sure you like, subscribe, whatever podcasting platform you are. Give us 5 stars, give us likes, give a thumbs up. Right below, just click that subscribe button. We appreciate it. It helps us do the free content that we provide to you guys all the time. Also, if you're not subscribed to OUinsider.com, make sure you go to OUinsider.com. That's all you have to do is type it in the URL code. Click that little green button that says join now, send you over to a new page where you can join right now for $1 the first week. Plus, you can get The Athletic complimentary on OU Insider and on 3 for a whole year. That's a 2-for-1 deal. It's a great deal. If you don't like us, we think you will. You can unsubscribe. I just dropped a bunch of notes, like huge amounts of notes on recruiting. Parker's dropped a bunch of notes this week. I got the VIP chat going. Steve Wiltfong, Adam Gorney, Sam Spiegelman. They're all been dropping notes. Everybody's been dropping recruiting notes, transfer stuff, all kinds of crap going on there. You've got Brody Lust dropping basketball information. You want injury notes on Jaden Jones? He's got you. You want information on lineups? He's got you. You want recruiting intel? He's got you when it comes to basketball. Jesse Crittenden is our do-it-all editor, doing everything over there, writing stories daily for you guys. A lot of VIP content as far as team information goes. We're talking to you guys 24/7 on that board. You can start your own thread. You can do whatever. Right now, again, only $1 the first week. You also get the Athletic complimentary on OU Insider and on 3 for a whole year. So make sure you give us a try. If you're a college student with the .edu, if you're a teacher with whether pre-K all the way K through 12, doesn't matter. You have an email from the school. Email us, ouinsider@rivals.com from your .edu or from your teacher's email account if you're a college student. If you're active duty, same thing. Everybody, email us from your active duty military, your teacher's email, your EDU. Doesn't matter what school you go to, what school you teach at, or armed forces you're at. Email us ouinsider@rivals.com. We will send you a promo code to make sure you get OU Insider for $1 a month for 3 months. That's a deal. Get you all the way almost to January right now, which will be the playoffs. So National Signing Day sounds like the transfer portal window. You'll get all that stuff and more, plus the bowl season, all that good stuff. So make sure you join us now. All right, for Parker Thune, for Spencer Forsythe on the board, my name is Brandon Drum. That's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live, powered by Riverwind Casino. You guys have a blessed day.